Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode, another enriching episode of Scholar Chitchats, and I'm your co-host Ojay.
I'm Chidinma, and today we're diving into a topic that hits close to home for all of us in graduate school. How do you maximize the resources beyond what is attainable in your classroom? So, for instance, how do you maximize school facilities and other opportunities that different schools offer to the fullest? I'm super excited about today's chat because I feel like it's one of those hidden gems that, we're revealing. Right. So it's easy to get caught up in the academic hustle and forget about the incredible resources that different institutions offer.
Yeah.
So as always, our key tip and our key drive in Scholar Chitchat is to give you the real teas on what needs to be done. So yeah, I'm super excited about today's episode. Hello everyone, I'm Chidinma.
And I'm Ojay and You can call me OJ. Welcome to Scholar Chitchats. We're your hosts on this exciting journey.
That's right. Scholar Chitchats is not just a podcast, it's a conversation. A talk show crafted to bring you a fresh, honest, and comprehensive perspective on academics, scholarships, professional life, and the unique experiences of life in the diaspora or as an international student.
And we are not just talking theory, we're sharing insights from our own lived experiences because we've been there, navigating academia, chasing scholarships, and building our professional lives in a foreign land. So a big thank you for joining us today. It's fantastic to have you on board.
We're beyond excited about this episode and we hope you are too. Get ready to dive deep, laugh with us, and maybe even learn a thing or two. So without much ado, let's jump into Scholar Chitchat. It's going to be a journey full of stories, wisdom, and maybe a few surprises along the way.
So thanks for being here, and let's make this episode an insightful and enjoyable ride. Here we go. Yeah. So, that's completely right. There's so much available on campus. So, I think that we should start from at least one of the things that people think about when they think about a student. What comes to mind is at the very center of studies and academia and the heart of the university. So, let's talk about the library. How do you maximize the library?
So it's interesting, OJ, because I've always been a library person. I remember when I was in secondary school, I think I was the assistant library prefect. So I've always had a thing for library. So each time, I remember when we were having our orientation, the first week of school, we were told about the different libraries. I was so excited. So people have always like, oh, you love the library a lot. But yeah, the library, generally when people think about libraries, what comes to mind is that, I just a place where I can borrow books, right? And then leave, or probably a quiet place where I can read. But for a graduate student, the library offers much more than borrowing books. I'll use an instance. When I was studying for my master's in University of York, the library does offer like sessions where if you're someone who is interested in boosting, let's say, your analytical skills, so these are out of your typical like classroom modules. You're going to be taught how to use R, how to use different softwares. One session that I registered for that has been helpful even to date was how to use PowerPoints, for how to make PowerPoint presentations. And for a very long time, I've always thought that I knew what they were all about. But after attending that session, I learned a lot about it. So you can also have more information on even spaces, for instance, for group study, right? Some libraries does offer that. My library had a pod where it's just you. I enjoy those pods. There's a sleeping pod, you can read and sleep. I think also the librarians are very helpful. They're very key resources in terms of helping you find the right books, the right journals. If you want to do, let's say, systematic review, I consulted my librarian who helped me. So there's just a lot to do. And I feel like aside borrowing books, the library offers workshops, as I mentioned, access to right archives. They can help you, even help you break down your research question if you're interested. So yeah, I think the library is really, really a safe space. It was for me anyways.
Yeah, Chidinma, I think when you started and you talked about your love for library, I'm like, oh yeah, this is my person. So I've always gone to the library. And even as a child in primary school, because I grew up around the tertiary institution, so most times after school, I go to the library, read books. So as well, when I got to secondary school, library as well, and then the university, I liked the UI library was actually a boring place. So I think that most times when people think about library, you think about the kind of library you have in Nigeria, where it's old dusty books from centuries ago, and then space to just sit and read, which is what we did as undergraduates, like just sit down and read. But coming to the university, oh, I maximized my libraries. So I was enrolled in 2 universities. So there was a library at LSHTM, there was a library at RBC. Then those both schools were part of the University of London. So they had the Senate Library that I enrolled. And then like 15 minutes close to them, there was also the British Library that I signed up for. So those were like, there were just libraries everywhere. And I also had access to UCL libraries, and UCL is everywhere. So like I enjoyed libraries. So and you shared a lot of ways to use the libraries. I like how you mentioned like they have courses as well. So that's something that people don't know. And how they can help you do like systematic reviews is I don't know that they offer that kind of service in Nigeria, but it's something that librarians are actually really, really proud. I remember there was a trip I went on, and that trip was actually about visiting libraries in Dublin. When we went, and you just see how the librarian was so passionate about her books and showing us stuff, and I was like, oh my God. So
yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned the libraries that you had access, and I don't mean to cut. I remember that I enjoyed your Good Enough college library when I came
Good
to
Enough library.
Yeah, because I really I really enjoyed that. And one more thing I was going to say, and I forgot, then of course so my library, which is typical of most libraries in the UK, for instance, you can actually have laptops. So they have these laptops that you can borrow and use for a while. So while I was studying for my master's, I had issue with my laptop. I couldn't fix it. And once your laptop things generally get spoiled, it's just better for you to buy a new one. So I was saving to buy a new one. Within that period, I used the laptop from the library, and it was so helpful. And the beautiful thing is that because it's from the library, they have almost all the softwares that the school typically uses. I don't have to download anything. So during lab sessions where my classmates are struggling to download, how do I get data? How do I do this? I was already like, oh, I have it already.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, the libraries are cool, and I think I like the way they also like make them very modern. They're not boring. They talked about the pods thing, and I was like, yeah, at the University of Edinburgh here, they have like multiple campuses and multiple kind of libraries with different. I'm like, oh wow, how are they thinking about this kind of things? Like they're making the library for you, like every kind of use case you can imagine. You have a part of the library that fulfills that desire. So I mean, if you do not like libraries, apart from the fact that you need them, you would actually get to love them, which is something. And so I think another thing that most libraries here do is as well, and then most schools do, is they give you access to online databases. So I know that for my school, they have like a platform that when you sign into, you have like free access to any book anywhere. So I don't even just go on Google and search anymore. I search through the university's kind of database that they have, and then you get access to everything. So that's something that, again, in Nigeria sadly is not available, because how can you be a student and not get access to the books that you need? But here it's such that you can get the book that you need. So between all the libraries I have access to, like, there really is no book that I cannot find. If it exists, I will find it and will get access, and it will get to me. So that's something. You mentioned as well software. So I mean, yeah, I don't know, the libraries are an amazing place. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You're completely right. And if your library doesn't have what you need, you can ask about interlibrary loans. So in the way interlibrary loans, like you've mentioned, you having access to different libraries. So you tell the librarians, they can reach out to the other school. And then, I mean, the good thing is just to understand how the interlibrary policy works. And I think one of the beautiful things I really enjoyed about studying in the UK was the fact that I didn't have to buy any textbook. Right, so once the books are there, they're available, you have them. I mean, I took a course on health statistics. I had access to the textbook all through the period that I needed it, and so I think that's absolutely beautiful.
Something I just wanted to touch on before we even move on is the fact that there are also things like community libraries, which is something that I am deeply sad that does not exist in Nigeria. Like just every area you live in has like a library. So it's, even if you're not affiliated to a school, you get access to a library for your area. And I think it's something that we need to bring back libraries, Nigeria. So let's go on the streets. But yeah, so let's move on to
it's funny. Sorry, Ojay, it's funny because you mentioned the community library. I went to a particular community library, and the funny thing, one of the things they do in the library, so they have elderly people who like want to learn how to do basic math. So for instance, a lot of people who didn't have access to like high school or secondary school. So when they say, oh, the prices of things in spring, there's 20% decrease, and then you don't really know what, like a normal person don't really. So I was doing work hours and I went there, I was working, and just a couple of people, they were teaching them, okay, this is the community library, this is what 20% increase in summer sale means, this is this, and that's, I mean, I found it fantastic. I learned a lot that day. So yeah, let's move on.
And it's also kind of like a good space for children. At least that's the one I found in the UK. Children actually come and hang out there a lot, which is a nice thought. So let's go to something that is not as interesting to us as libraries. So let's talk about loans and financial support. So Chidinma, what do you have to say about this boring subject?
Yeah, it's very important rather to understand what financial aids, scholarships or grants that are available to you. I think that oftentimes, there is this temptation to just come to school, focus and then read. I feel like it's good to make inquiries. Like I've gotten a lot out of making inquiries. So each school has the financial department, and then most websites when you're doing your graduate school outside Nigeria, they are really well packed. So most of the information you need is basically there. So I do go online. If you go to the finances, then you look at scholarships, you can find financial aids available to international students. One of the things that I liked that my school, as University of York, did was that they had like a particular page that is dedicated for like each country. So if you're Nigerian, you can click on Nigeria, then you'd see different things pertaining to what it, I think, means for you to be a student, or things you have access to rather in Nigeria. So there are lots of them. There are short grants that could be, maybe if you're passionate about executing a project in Nigeria, you could get a little bit of money. Of course, it requires you writing some essays, which, oh my God. But I think there are lots of them. You just have to be searching.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chidinma, for pointing this out. And I have a story for this. When I moved to the UK, or when you're talking about it, I was like, yeah, it's possible to not know about all these kind of things, because all this kind of financial aid. So they're like emergency funds. You mentioned already short-term loans. So my story is that when I got to the UK, I needed a laptop, because my laptop that I came with from Nigeria was the one I bought in 100 level. So it has seen good days. And then for some reason they sent an email about how they're experiencing financial hardship, you should apply and then get some support for digital. I think it was a digital fund, and there was also a hardship fund. So I was like, I don't know, I'm on a scholarship. This is the kind of the scholarship money is not even really big money that are here we normally. You actually qualified to be for hardship if that's your only source of income. So I was like, oh, well, I can apply for the digital fund one, because again, I meet all the criteria. So I applied and I got the money. Nobody asked me any. Again, you have to write essays. If you want money, you have to be able to explain yourself and stuff. But nobody came to claim me, oh, did you buy the laptop? Nothing like that. They gave me the money, but me, I needed a laptop true. But a laptop. So that was how I got my first laptop, Nikki. But as well, my co-scholar then, she applied for the digital fund and she applied for the hardship fund. She got both of them. So that was a very, very generous pump of money. So I think coming from an environment where scarcity is the thing, you are grateful for little things, and then you come to a place where there's abundance. They are looking for people to collect money. And the point is, a lot of times as an international student, you tick all the boxes for people that are suffering in goods. Because even there's a lot of money, technically, still not a lot of money that you are getting. So you have to be able to know that, if they're giving money and you're an international student, you qualify for that money, apply. What's the worst thing that can happen? You don't get it. Your life is not worse. What's the best thing that can happen? You get it. And wow. So don't dull yourself, don't cheat yourself out of opportunities to get any kind of external financial aid that you can get, even if you already have the scholarship. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting. I think the key points you need to highlight from what you said is that it's always worth asking. And like you said, because of where the context that we come from, we're always scared, like, oh my God, and then it's like, hey, just ask, send that email, put a call across, call the department. If it's not feasible, it's not feasible. So I think another thing I wanted us to talk about is the career center. So the career center is another resource that shouldn't be overlooked. Each university has their career center. They have personnel that actually want you to come, right? Because they don't want to be bored. So they want you to come, and it's very you're right. It's very important for you as an international student because you're new to this space, right? And you're competing with nationals or citizens already who know how things work. So you need someone that can help you, guide you on how to submit your CV. So if you're coming from Nigeria and you're used to putting your state of origin, your age, you now come and put it in yours and you're like, what's happening? Nobody's calling me. Well, that's the reason why nobody's calling you. So and they do have workshops, and my school do host, they host like workshops where different organizations come, right? And then, they come, this is what we do. And, it just gives you an idea of what happens, how you to prepare for your life after school, networking events. So the career center should you need to talk to them. You can schedule maybe the first week, second semester, or third semester, whenever. Just book an appointment, have a conversation with them. I think that's really awesome. They can review your CV and refer you to the right resources.
100%, 100%, Chidinma. And yeah, this was something I kind of leveraged on as well. So you want to get career counseling, you want to attend job fairs, and the career center, they're really, really lovely. I think I got them to, and the fun part was my university had you have 2 years. So I think I still won't have access to the career service post-graduation for up to 2 years. They will review your CV, they would help you prepare for interviews and all sorts of things like that. So you want to kind of explore and make sure that you're tapping into all these things that can help you be productive or excel outside of school. So yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. I think one thing that people also forget to leverage on is the strong alumni network. So my school, that's the University of York, we have this web page for alumni, and then you can actually reach out while you're still studying. You can reach out to them. Then I did reach out to one of the former alumni. I wanted to do something. She gave me an advice on how to build my career in that. And that's really helpful, right? Because then these are people that are really well advanced. Like they probably would have graduated 30 years and they have a wealth of experience. So it's always beautiful to reach out. I think one key thing really, Ojay, is just search and engage. Search and engage. There are 2 words I want to recall, because we come from an environment where we don't have most of these resources. So oftentimes we don't know, and nobody's going to tell you, literally hand it over to you, because you're meeting people who think this is normal. So why should I be telling you something that is normal? Everybody knows that there's a career center, but you don't know. So ask.
No, to be honest, I think that there's a lot to be said here. Actually, I feel like we should have specific segments where we actually expound on each of these points and how to really leverage them. Because as you said, these are things that people know. You're born in the culture, you kind of know it's given. But if there's anything that international students want to do, which is what you said, is ask questions, and ask questions. Yeah, so I would say that my last tip actually is just to re-echo what Chidinma said. Make sure you ask questions. Make sure you fully take advantage of everything that's available to you as well. But make sure that you strike the right balance, because there's so much to do here. But for me, I'll say if it's money related, don't dull, go for it. Every other thing apart from the money and the books, yeah, you can. I'm saying, I'll do this one. I'll not do this one. But yeah, that's it. So Chidinma, what's to you?
Awesome. This has been an enriching episode, and I feel like it's something we're probably going to get back to much later. So all our fellow graduate students out there, remember, you're not just here for academics, also to intending graduate students. Make the most of everything your school has to offer. Join student organizations or clubs, right? And that's all for today's episode of Scholar Chitchats. Join us next time for more insights into the graduate school journey. Stay curious, friends. Bye. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Scholar Chitchats. If you found our conversation insightful and enjoyable, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to stay updated. We've got a lot more in store and we don't want you to miss out.
We are always diving into topics like this: academics, scholarship, professional life, and the international student experience. It's what makes Scholar Chitchats your go-to podcast for a fresh perspective. Also, don't keep all this wisdom to yourself. Share this episode with your friends and family who could benefit from it. We are building a community of learners and would love for you to be a part of it.
Your thoughts matter to us. We want to hear from you. Drop your comments and questions in the chat, or send your questions, suggestions, and comments to scholarchitchat@gmail.com. Your input helps shape the future of Scholar Chitchats.
So that's a wrap for today, and we'll be back with more insight stories and chit chats in the next episode. Until then, take care, stay curious, and see you soon.